tethered.
Today we are joined by not one but two guests. This is a first on the podcast, and welcome to episode 44. Firstly, Judith MacCombe, you're very welcome.
Hello, thank you.
And secondly, your partner in crime, Eimear Nicholls, you two are very welcome onto the podcast.
Hello, thank you very much.
Guys, you two are very well known locally within the triathlon circles, and more recently, over the last couple of years, you two have been on our screens in international Paralympic events. Absolutely phenomenal story. I'm buzzing to get chatting to you. But as always, I like to start off with getting to know how you managed to get to the heights of where you got to. So if we start with Judith first. Judith, without putting you on the spot, tell me a wee bit about your journey to triathlon.
So, I was never really that sporty at school. I did Duke of Ed, and then for Duke of Ed you had to pick a sport, so I did karate, but that was about it. It was just doing it for the sake of getting it done. It wasn't until I went to uni that I started doing rugby and rowing. I should probably say I'm visually impaired. I was born with a type of albinism, so I can't see distance very well. Like, things just get blurry beyond a certain point. So for me, doing rugby was probably not the wisest idea, but my theory was, in rugby, you get the ball and you run through anyone who stands in your way. Like, it's fairly straightforward. And then in rowing, you're sitting in a boat and everybody's going backwards, so you don't really need to see where you're going. But I really enjoyed rowing, so after uni I kept that up at the City of Derry Rowing Club. Got selected for the Irish Para Development Squad, I think that's what it's called. But unfortunately that didn't work out. But I was still training a lot. I was going to the gym every day. Sort of at a loose end, not sure what to do. And then I think it was around 2017. There was sort of a Paralympics sports open day thing in Dublin, and we went down there to sort of more to find out about rowing again, to sort of see what happened. Why had we not heard from anyone? But we ended up bumping into a guy from Triathlon Ireland, Eamon, and he said, "Can you swim? Can you ride a bike? Can you run?" I was sort of like, kinda, not really. But he was like, "There's a training day in Belfast next month. I want to see you there." So went up to that, could just about survive 25 metres of a pool. Had never been on a tandem bike before. I could run okay, but it sort of progressed from there. And 2018 started doing like triathlons around Ireland, just local ones. And then 2021 was my first international race. So being visually impaired, I have to race with a guide. Same guide for swim, bike and run. We're tethered in the swim. It's a tandem bike with the guide on the front. I have had to clarify that on several occasions. The guide goes in the front.
That's good to know. Yeah.
And then tethered again on the run. So between 2018 and 2021, it was just finding people, like going on Facebook, putting up a post like, "I'm doing this event in however many number of weeks. If anyone is keen to jump on the front of a tandem bike, give me a shout." And usually, like, meeting the person the morning of the race, being like, "Here's the bike. Do you wanna have a quick spin on it? Okay, cool. This is how the swim is gonna work. This is how the run's gonna work. Let's just go and do it." So yeah, it was just a bit thrown together, and it was just sort of getting that race experience, and I suppose, yeah, like meeting loads and loads of people, which was fantastic. There were so many people who were willing to just come along and give it a go. 2021, that first international race, I got Anne Paul, the legend, roped in. So she was my guide for that first international race, and obviously she came with so much experience, but she'd never been on a tandem bike before. So we met about 3 days before the race. It was in Portugal. and we went out on the bike a few times, we swam together a few times, we ran together a few times, and then we were thrown into a race together. We did okay. It was very, very choppy, very stormy in the swim. I'll never forget it. I stopped, like about 200 meters into the swim. I stopped, had a cry, thought, I'm getting out. I'm not doing this again. And Anne was just going, come on, Judith, just get your head down. If you keep swimming, we'll get out of this faster. It's going to be okay. And so we got through the swim, did the bike, did the run, finished 5th, I think. But then we got disqualified.
Oh, you just pulled the carpet out from under us.
Yeah.
What did you do that gave you the DQ?
So it was in T2, I think I had taken off my helmet. The bike had fallen off the rack and then Anne picked it up. So she touched the bike after I had taken off my helmet, which is a penalty. It would have been a 10-second penalty. But we ran past the penalty box. I'm blaming it on Anne, and I feel bad, but like I can't see the numbers written on the board. Anne didn't see our number written on the board, so we didn't stop and just ran straight through to the finish line, celebrating, thinking we'd done great. And then about 10 minutes later, it was like, okay, we just need to let you know you've been disqualified here.
Oh, Christ.
So that was a very steep learning curve in a lot of ways. I went into it not realising there was so many rules in that you couldn't touch the bike when you had your helmet on. You couldn't touch the bike before you had your helmet on. All these little things. So, yeah, that was mad. And then Anne was not scared away, thankfully. So Anne stuck with me through 2022, the Commonwealth Games, and right through to 2023. So that was whenever I met Eimear.
Great stuff. We will talk about the sort of technical challenges and all the different aspects, because I'm very, very aware of all these wee rules and things that we all have to abide by just as a single participant. So it's probably all doubled up and it must be absolute chaos. In my head, it's just bonkers, the things that you have to remember and the sequences and stuff. But look, we'll park that for now. Eimear, tell me a wee bit about how you got into triathlon, just and sort of, in your own words, kind of where things led you to 2023.
Well, I guess my kind of triathlon career is kind of, there's 2 parts to it now, because after meeting Judith, that's been my second part. But I guess like as a kid, I was just like generally sporty, into lots of different sports. I did a sport called tethered, which is 4 disciplines: swim, run, horse riding, and shooting. So it's similar to modern pentathlon, but without the fencing. Then I kind of, after I finished doing that, I went to uni and all I did was run for fitness, and did a bit of traveling, came back, and actually before I went traveling, I just randomly did a triathlon. It was the Roe Valley Sprint Triathlon. But then I did that, I went away traveling, forgot all about it. And then I came back and I overheard somebody at the pool saying they were selling a bike. So I was like, oh, well, I'll buy that. So I bought the bike and took it away to do my teacher training over in England. And I met some people through the run club who were into cycling, and they were like, oh, well, come out with us. If you've got a bike, that'd be great. And then they introduced me to the triathlon club, and it kind of just spiraled from there. I just started doing a couple of local triathlons, and then I met my first coach. And then after a few years, then I turned professional at the long distance triathlons and joined a professional team. I think it was probably about 2013. And then, just raced professionally up until I had my first child around, my last race was 2017, and then I had my first child at 2018. And I had planned to go back to triathlon after that, but then in the middle of all the training and getting ready for that, the pandemic hit, and I never did. And I just kind of drew a line under it then, thinking, well, that's it, I'm done with triathlon now. Until I saw a little post on Triathlon Ireland's like Facebook, and it was basically saying, is there anybody that would be interested in guiding visually impaired athletes? And I knew that Anne Paul had been doing it. I thought it was just an amazing thing to do and a great way to give back to the sport. And I just got in touch, and basically it all went from there. I then went to a training day in Monaghan, and eventually, well, I did actually at the very start say, look, I'm not committing to this. I'll just be a reserve guide. You know, if you need me, I'll step in for the odd race here and there. But that didn't last long, and very soon I was full on into it and totally invested in it, and yeah, absolutely loving it. And I'm just like so grateful for this chance to have like a second time around at the sport and to do. I just love the sport, and it's just brilliant to be back in it again.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Tell me this. It must be somewhat. The word I'm thinking of is terrifying. It must be terrifying rocking up on day one with the idea that you're going to be tied to another person and that you're going to have to go into that lake or into that sea or into that body of water tied to someone, and you're going to have to work out how this is going to. Talk me through this tethering together in the swim. Where are you tethered? Is it at the arms, at the hips? Where are you tethered? Excuse my ignorance, but this is the beauty of my podcast is I just get to ask these silly, open, honest, curious questions.
Yeah,
Well, I think it's good questions, because a lot of people don't actually think about. They just think, oh, you do that together, but they don't actually think about how the real ins and outs of it. So it's a good question. Judith, you go ahead and explain.
in the swim we're tethered at the leg. Like, there's no set rule of this is you have to be tethered. There are rules in terms of like the length of the tether, and in the swim it can't be too stretchy. It has to be bright coloured so that you can see it in the water, but there's no like you have to be tethered on the leg, you have to be tethered on the waist. There's nothing like that. It's just you go in and you make your tether in whatever way is easiest for you. So we're tethered from like the top of the thigh to the top of the thigh. And then I think it's about 80 centimetres of like a bungee cord between us, and Eimear's job is to sight and keep us going in the right direction, and my job is to stay as close to Eimear as I can.
That was my next question. How are you able to communicate? Is it a case of shouting at each other whenever you're up for breath? Do you synchronize your breathing and stuff like that, or is it a good old fashioned clip on the side of the ear whenever someone's veering off to the left? How does the communication piece work?
Yeah, I just try and swim as close as I can to Eimear. Usually whenever we get to a turn, if it works out in the stroke, Eimear will slap me on the head so that I know we're turning. But generally, like, if I'm sticking close to her, I'll know that she's either moving away from me or she's swimming on top of me. So it's like, oh, we're obviously turning now.
Eimear, I'm guessing as the kind of the eyes in the water, do you feel that you're under an extra level of pressure, or did you find that something that you had to overcome at the beginning, or did you just think, right, well, okay, let's get in here and get on with it?
Yeah, basically more of a get in here and get on with it. Like I'm the type of person that just loves racing and just loves getting at it. So I'm just like, right, I'm going to be going here. You stay as close to me as possible, and that's your job. And Judith does that. When we get to the buoy, I usually do try and give her a tap, because I do think that it helps her to get around the buoy a lot more efficiently. So a little tap on the head just as we're turning, and it helps her to like know, okay, I'm not gonna. If I don't tap her, I can feel her drifting off to one side, and it slows us down. It's not great. So the tap on the head definitely helps. Sometimes if I feel that sometimes I feel like a real tug, like she's not close enough to me, and I'll either tap her on the head or pull the tether to be like, get closer to me. But generally, like, she's really good, stays nice and close, and we just kind of try and work it like that.
In terms of actually manoeuvring past the boys, Judith, what's it like for you not being able to kind of see the boy coming and anticipate the turn, or even to anticipate the other people that's in the water, the traffic, as it were, the other competitors? When you get the tap on the head, you know to do well. How do you get around that? Have you got a technique whereby there's 3 strokes on the right hand side and 2 kicks here, and I can't figure it out in my head how you would do that if you weren't able to kind of see how to do it, if you know what I mean.
I've never really thought of it. It just sort of happens. I suppose.
So if you keep turning, you just keep turning left until you bump into Eimear, and then Eimear says, so whenever she's not turning, then you know, okay, so the turn's done. Then we just keep going.
That is kind of how it is. Like in the recce's, I get a good idea of, right, okay, this is what 90 degrees feels like, or if it's more than 90 degrees or whatever, then I have a good idea of how that feels. But there's times that if the water's a bit choppy or whatever, it can feel really disorientating, and I feel like I'm swimming in circles. So it is. I just swim until I either swim into Eimear or I feel like we're going in the right direction.
Well, here's another possibly daft question too, but I suppose that there would be a serious aspect to the question, in fairness, with regards to the tether. The tether in my head poses a risk of sorts to others. I mean, if or maybe there hasn't been a situation, but if there was to be a swimmer that got in between you guys, or have you ever been caught up? And do people get caught up in people's tethers? Has that happened?
Judith and I, we've got an actual at the European Championships. It wasn't another person that we got stuck on, but there were marker buoys, just little small buoys, all the way to the first buoy, and I didn't see them. I don't know what happened, but we ended up. I thought Judith was having a panic attack or something because she just stopped swimming, and I turned around and I was like, what's going on? And she was stuck. So our tether was stuck around the buoy, so we had to try and free it. It took us about 3 attempts to get it free. We lost a lot of time there. And then when we got free, we were flying along and it was fine. But that's definitely, like a hazard of the tether. There's also been times when we've done like local age group races and people don't realise that we're tethered, and even like we get in for a warm-up and they come swimming straight at us and try to go between us, and we have to kind of basically like stop and start shouting at them and be like, no, we're together. So like it can be quite like daunting for people, but generally in the PTVI field, which is our classification, our field is quite small, so you generally don't end up getting caught around other people, so it's usually you usually have quite a lot of space.
It's fascinating and terrifying simultaneously. The other thing then, in terms of the two of you are tethered throughout all 3 disciplines, how do you work together in terms of within the swim? I'm thinking particularly the swim is such a technical thing, and it might be someone's real strong point. Judith, you've already said that there was a period of time where you could just barely swim 25 meters, and Eimear has been professionally racing at long distance, so you're probably extremely comfortable and very competent within the swim. So does the styles, do your 2 separate individual styles, because I'm just very aware that swimming's, I mean, it's like handwriting really, isn't it? But does one of you have to kind of up your game to the other one, or does the other one slow down to compensate for the other one? How does that work out?
Eimear is a much better swimmer than me. I'm going to say that right now. I suppose like it's kind of hard. Like there's been a lot of, I think, research by different coaches into what's the best way to swim tethered, whether it's to sync up your stroke or try and sort of match each other's rhythm and cadence and stuff. But I think we just sort of go for it and just try and swim as close as we can together.
I think
I was going to say there's one side going sort of at one cadence and the other side's going like the hammers. That's sort of what it works. So
as Judith's been working a lot on her swim, and as her swim has been improving and her fitness has been improving, her cadence has gone up, and I have a very high cadence stroke. So as we keep going and Judith keeps improving, our strokes are starting to actually match a little bit more. And hopefully as Judith continues to improve and continues to up her stroke rate and get more comfortable with it, we will then be even more in sync as we go forward. So
it's brilliant. It's fascinating stuff and exciting to know that the training is bringing you on, and that's going to be something that's going to continue to improve. That's fascinating. What about? I'm way off on a tangent here, but I think we'll just get all these questions out of the way before we go into the actual journey of your racing together. But talk me through the transition one then as a tethered partnership?
Go for it, Eimear. I'll let you answer this one.
Well, the exit from the water, like it is all, there's a lot of thought behind everything that you do. It takes a lot of practice, like even just exiting the water. So we need to, as we're coming up to the exit, I tap Judith on the head, then we feet down and we're both out of the water. Then we remove the tether, I take the tether, and then we start removing the top of our wetsuits. And we have to be within a certain distance, I think it's 1.5 meters. So we have to stay that close. Now, if it's like a technical run, I'll hold Judith's elbow as we're going up. If it's a straight run, she's usually fine to just stay beside me. Then we stay close together, we get into transition, and everything goes in the box. If not, there's a penalty. Helmets on, and neither of us can touch the bike until both the helmets are strapped. And once the helmets are strapped up, we both grab the bike and then we head out of transition and mount the bike.
Judith, mounting a bike with your visual impairment, and it's just not a bike, it's a massive bike. I've seen the bike. I've seen it at Try the Lock. I think I've seen it at Garton as well.
Yep.
It's some piece of kit. It's a very impressive piece of kit. Talk me through that, getting onto the bike, and what it's like for you as the back seat driver as such. Because my mind is just blown at the idea of, the faith, the trust, the respect, all these. Well, here, look, give it in your words.
I suppose my visual impairment is it's okay in that I have some vision, so it's not like there are visually impaired athletes who are completely blind. They have no vision. Like, I just think that's scary. Like, I suppose that's you looking at me and I'm looking at them going sort of same kind of feeling. But yeah, like there's a lot of communication, but it really is just swinging your leg over on the bike and pushing off. Like, Eimear does all the calls. Sort of, we cross the mountain line. It's like, right, let's go, foot in, go, push off, and then we're pedaling. Right foot strapped in, left foot strapped in, and then it's just pushing hard. And I suppose there's a lot of trust needed. Like, Eimear's in charge of the brakes, the steering, the gears, everything. I can't see where the corners are. I can't see who's in front of us. I'm just looking at Eimear's back and just holding on and pedaling as hard as I can. But I mean, I suppose over the years, like those years of just jumping into races around Ireland and rocking up whoever is willing enough to guide on the day, like, I was jumping on the bike with whoever. Like, I met them that morning and it was just like, all right, we're gonna fly around this course now, let's go. So I was fairly used to just jumping on the bike and trusting someone. Whenever you get to sort of World Series level races and you are absolutely bombing around the course, like, that's next level. There was one point, and I will never forget it, I think it was Japan, and we went flying around a corner and Eimear went, oh, I forgot you were on the back.
She's got the knee down and all, taking a corner at fucking 45 degrees and you're squealing off the back.
But it was class crack. I loved it.
Brilliant.
Like, her has a lot of work to do on the front. Like, she's obviously steering and changing gears and doing all that, but she's also calling out turns, like sharp left, sharp right, pedal through this one. Yeah, like there's a hill, get up, like stand up for this one, whatever. And it's just getting those calls as short as possible so that it's just really, really sharp and really snappy, so that Eimear just have to say like one word and I know exactly what to do. Yeah, the communication's really, really important on the bike as well.
Tell me how the gearing works on the bike. Are the pedals in sync then? So as one set of pedals is turning, the other one's turning simultaneously with it? Are they locked in together like an old-fashioned tandem bike? And then the gears just operate on the back wheel then, presumably from the handlebars like a traditional bike?
Yep, that's exactly how it is. So the pedals are in sync and the gears, it's just like you're riding in an ordinary bike. You just change the gears as you need to. So it's all...
So you're up front driving and Judith's in the engine room just hammering out the revolutions and holding on for dear life.
Yep. Well, you see, at the beginning, I found that my biggest worry was getting off and on the bike, because that is like it's like driving a bus. You're kind of like, it's very daunting. Like, that was my biggest worry. So we were going to do our first race in, I don't know, Longford maybe, or somewhere like that, I think it was. And we went for one training day, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, I can't get round a U-turn on this thing. Like, it was awful. I was just like, even just getting on it, getting off it, it was scary stuff. But once we mastered that, then like, you very quickly get used to it. It's just, it becomes second nature really, and you just get on with it. And then, as Judith was saying, like in Yokohama last year when we were racing, that was the first time that I felt that I had got a handle on the handling of the bike, that I could actually handle it like my normal, like I was on it by myself. So I was doing knee out round corners, and Judith was just like, whoa, whoa, okay, okay. And it was just brilliant. We had a great time on the bike that day until our chain came off.
Yeah.
But that was whenever we first realized, well, we can do this now. And then, like, all the courses are quite technical, and up until that point, I was like just wanting a straight TT course. And now we basically look for the most technical course, and we love it. So it's good.
I remember many, many years ago being on the back of a motorbike with a guy who was an absolute lunatic. And the only advice that he gave me was, whenever you see me leaning to the right, just you lean to the right as well. And if I go left, lean with me. Basically, keep your head in line with my head. And if I lean, you lean. Is that kind of the way you guys operate on the bike?
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
I just like talk the whole way through any technical section. I just shout like left turn, and I say how to ride it, or say how sharp it is. So sharp left turn, stop pedaling, or knee up, or whatever. And then like if it's less of a turn, I'll say like right turn, pedal through, so she knows it's going to be a little bit easier going through it, but to keep on pedaling, to keep the momentum. So all the calls like that, and every little thing is kind of called out, and that kind of just helps us to both stay in sync and really get the power down when we need to, back off when we need to. And so it takes a long time to get to the point where it's quite smooth, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
Here's another possibly daft question, but it seems to be a sensible one. With two people on the bike, both pedaling, are your top end speeds going to be a lot higher than they would be for an ordinary one person setup? Or is that me being daft?
No, yeah, it is definitely much, much higher. There's two people powering the bike. The bike is a lot heavier than your normal bike, but because there are two people powering it, especially if you're going down a hill with the tailwind, you're getting up some speeds. It can be pretty scary.
That's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, I'm thinking, Christ, I nearly hit like 35 mile an hour there, and I'll be looking at my Strava maybe later on thinking, Jesus, I was going 35 mile an hour. Presumably your gears are maybe going 40 odd mile an hour whenever the rest of the pack are doing about 30. Is that fair enough to think that?
Yeah, well, we'd be going a good bit quicker. Yeah, definitely.
Giving away no secrets. I love it. Love it. Okay, so we've got round the bike. Getting off the bike. Who's going to talk me through getting off the bike? Because my God, like, who takes charge of that? Does one of you stop the bike, hold the bike while the other person gets off the bike? My mind's blown.
It's in sync, and again, it's Eimear calling it out. Like, she knows whenever we're coming up to the dismount line, so it'll be right foot up, get it out of the shoe, left foot up, and then I think you do a countdown as we approach the line, and then it's just swing the leg off and run. Yeah.
It's choreographed, really. Then the whole thing's very, very well. At this point, you guys have this nailed in.
I mean, there's always room for improvement, isn't there? But
yeah,
like, it is. I think we are fairly slick. Like,
Brilliant stuff. Things I'm assuming get a wee bit easier whenever we get to the run. Or where's the run? Who's taking the lead on the run discussions?
I mean, Eimear is literally my eyes for the race, so she is very much like, I do what she tells me to do. Yeah, I suppose in the run we're tethered by we both wear like a race belt, and then it's a shoelace between us. And again, that's sort of a specific length. I think that one can't be over a meter, and it can't be stretchy.
Right, okay.
I know the one we have is within the rules, and I think that's all that matters.
Yeah, we'll not be going into it in any detail.
Yeah. And then again on the run, like I would probably be okay to run on my own, but whenever you're running flat out and you're exhausted, like it only takes one wee thing to trip and stumble. So having Eimear to sort of be like, there's a speed bump or there's a step, and then sort of be able to tell me like, right, we're coming up to the turn. I think the most frustrating thing is the French are in front of us. Can you see them yet? Can you see them yet? I'm like, if I can't see them, they're not close enough yet.
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? Brilliant. Tell me this: is there any rules or regulations about who crosses the line then? Whenever you finally get to the finish line, who's carrying the chip?
Well, when we're on the run, I can't be more than half a step ahead, so we have to make sure that I'm not like. It is quite difficult because like you're racing and you want to go quicker, so sometimes I get a wee bit carried away and have to like be like, okay, come on, don't go too far ahead. But generally, we're pretty good with that. We're just working on it, and I never stop shouting at Judith on the run, so I think that makes her run quicker to get me to shut me up sooner. I'm shouting the whole way around, and it's not always nice. But
so in many respects, then Judith, you have your Eimear, very, very important aspect to your racing, obviously. But I suppose she's nearly like the PT, isn't she? She's the drill sergeant roaring and trying to do the whole thing. There's no slacking up for you. At least I can decide that fuck this, I'm bailing out here. I've had enough, or I've got a stitch, or I'll talk myself out of it. But no, that ain't happening. Not on Eimear's watch.
Like there is that. I do think that as a visually impaired athlete, we do have an edge on other athletes in that we have someone beside us the whole way pushing us on. Whereas I think, like whenever you're racing by yourself, it's got to be a bit lonely. Like you just have yourself to motivate yourself to push you on. Whereas I have Eimear constantly roaring in my ear, and there is that sort of like, because we're working together, because we're a team, because we're partners in it. I think there is that aspect of like, I don't want to let her down. Like I can't slack off here. I have to keep pushing. Like Eimear's still pushing. But it is frustrating because Eimear obviously does have to be fitter and faster than me, and she's like talking away, giving me a full running commentary of everything, and I can barely breathe.
That's right. Yeah.
But no, it's brilliant. Like it's so good.
So, guys, thank you so much for sharing all that insight into what it's like. I mean, the ins and outs and ups and downs of how you guys actually race. It's fascinating. So thank you for that open and honest kind of insight. Let's talk about your racing journey then. So in 2023, you guys linked up, and your first race then was in the national championships in Longford. That was the kind of the beginning of the partnership. Where did things take you then from there?
So that was our first race together, and I think that was, I suppose Triathlon Ireland needed to see that us as a pairing worked, that we could perform together. So it was sort of just doing races to show that we worked well together, if that makes sense. Longford was, as Eimear said, that was your first full sort of triathlon tethered to me. Your first proper race on the bike. I think that was possibly your first swim tethered as well. Could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. I think it was, yeah.
So then after that we did Garton and Omagh, and then we got to go to Mauritius in the September, and that was sort of our first international race where I suppose we could wear the Irish tri-suits and represent Ireland.
That must have been a real buzz for your, to get the national colours on your back. Like, it's a dream come true in many respects.
Okay, well, it's good. I think, Eimear, that was your first time wearing the guide tri-suit.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, to be going to Mauritius to race was something else. You know, it's a proper holiday location, and we were out there in these beautiful blue oceans and sandy beaches, and it was a bit surreal, to be honest. Like, I was leaving my kids at home and going off to this beautiful place, and we did our race, and it was amazing. It was a really cool way to start the journey, and we look back on that one very fondly.
That experience, just even seeing the both of you reacting to it, and the smiles on your face and your eyes lit up there, just as you're reminiscing about it, cemented that, okay, let's give this a crack. Let's see where we can go. Is that kind of how you felt after that event in Mauritius?
Well, I knew before we went to Mauritius that Judith was good enough to be going to the Paralympics, but Judith needed to kind of get that into her head as well, and we also had to prove that we were good enough. So it was kind of like, from then it was like, right, we've done that, now we can go and race some bigger races and show them what we're actually capable of. And so there were only 2 races left in the season, and we managed to get Triathlon Ireland to allow us to race them, and we went and we did pretty well at them. We did 2 World Cups. The first one was in Malaga, and we finished 3rd there. We raced one in Toronto. No, where was it? Toronto?
Yeah, it was Italy. Yeah, Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto in Italy. And we finished 2nd there, but we lost that by 1 second in a sprint finish. So it kind of left us, we were a bit disappointed, but we knew that Judith was able for more, and it was a great start to it.
Yeah.
Those events then in Malaga and Toronto, were they big fields then? These were testing your mettle against other international athletes at that point?
Yeah, Susana Rodriguez, so she's the world number 1 in PTVI. She was at Malaga, so she's world number 1, like she was the big one. So it was good to go there and sort of see where we were at against her. There was also the Italians and the French, who I think they're quite high up. The Italians have done, I think, 2 previous Paralympics before Paris, so there were some big names at those races. It was good to get in the mix with them and just see how we fared against them.
So at the end of 23 then, you have had a bit of a jaunt around Mauritius. You have been to Malaga, you have taken it on in Italy. 2 podiums in the space of a couple of weeks, probably.
Yeah.
Brings you up into 2024. Talk me through 2024. What a year.
2024, we knew from the very start, because we were very late into the qualification process, we knew that we were going to have to do quite a lot of early racing and to travel very far to do that. So we had to start our season early, going to Abu Dhabi, which was then cancelled. That didn't help us much. Then we had to go to Tasmania, which was just the next week. So we went there and finished 3rd. But after that, we still then had to go to Japan and Uzbekistan. And I'll let you continue from there, Judith.
So yeah, Japan was, in every race we went to, we were aiming for the podium. Like, it was all about qualifying for Paris. It was all about getting the points. So Japan, we were 7 seconds off the podium, but that was after we lost about a minute with a bike mechanical. The chain came off. We had to stop, get off, get the chain back on. Our pedals were then out of sync, so we couldn't pedal together. So Eimear had to pedal the last bit of the bike course into transition, and then we just had to run for our lives to try and make up time. And as I said, finished 7 seconds off the podium. But I think even at that, like, we always try to take away something positive from every race, and it just sort of, I think at that point it was like, this is the level that we're at. Like, we lost that time, but look at what we made up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to Uzbekistan, and going to Uzbekistan, we knew that the only way to make that journey worthwhile was to finish first. So like not only were we aiming for the podium, like we had to finish first, otherwise it was a waste of time going there. Which we did. We did it, and it was such a cool place to go. Like you'd never think about going to Uzbekistan for a holiday or anything. So like just to be able to travel there was unreal. After that we had, I think, 2 more races planned in the calendar. So there was Swansea and Montreal. Unfortunately, so as a VI athlete, I have to get classified. So I basically have to get an eye test done to prove that I am visually impaired. My classification didn't go well, so I was then counted as unclassified for a few months, and the only way that I would be able to race was if I was classified. So the next classification that I could get was in July, which meant that I couldn't race Swansea, I couldn't race Montreal, and so the points that we had gathered up to that point, we just had to hope that we could hold on to where we were. So it was watching. Eimear actually raced Swansea with Chloe, my twin sister, and then it was watching the points and who finished where in Swansea, and then watching who finished where in Montreal, and just hoping that, like, we had looked up the points, we had looked up who was going, and it was like, right, the French need to finish second, the British need to finish third. And it was just watching the race going, who's crossing that line first. It was so stressful.
Oh, man.
But
so many different outcomes based on who comes first, who comes second.
Yeah.
It's like the last day of the football season, all the lads looking at who's,
So Chloe and I raced Swansea as a way to stop other people from getting more points, because if we didn't win that race, then other people would have passed Judith and I in the points. So the reason why Chloe and I did it was to stop other people from passing us in the points. So it's all very tactical.
Yeah.
Excellent. I like your style. That's genius. So it worked out okay then, I'm guessing?
Yeah. So we finished, it was the top 9 that qualified for Paris, and we finished 9th. So just scraped in, thankfully.
Job done. Holy moly. So the road to Paris is now set. What is going through your minds at that point whenever you realise, yes, we've done it, we're going to the Olympics? What is that like?
It's a good feeling, wasn't it? Yeah. It's really nice because we had to work so hard for it, and we had so many hiccups along the way, so many road bumps. We had to just navigate so many different things that went wrong. Like, we were talking about the race in Uzbekistan, our crank fell off the day before the race, and we had to go and get it welded back on by like the little mechanic guy, because there were no bike shops, and he said he'd take it and do what he could, and we were just wondering, we didn't know if we were going to have a bike the morning of the race, and he showed up with this welded back together, and we were just like so happy. But there were little things like that happened the whole way through, so to finally make it was a huge relief, and it was just great to be knowing that we were going. And yeah.
And presumably then actually taking part in a big mass, like any event special, but taking part in the Paris event with the opening ceremonies and the cameras and the colours and the noise. Give us a wee sense of what that was like.
It was all a bit surreal. We didn't go to the opening ceremony just because it sort of seemed that it would just be a really long afternoon, evening, night, and it was just about saving energy for the race. But I mean, the experience in the village was, as I said, just surreal. Like, I just kept looking at stuff going like, I'm actually here. Like, this is the Paralympics. Like, this is an actual thing that's happening. It was surreal.
You've made a damn good account of yourselves in Paris, I have to say. We were all on the internet and on the TVs and sharing links across Facebook and Instagram, and it was an amazing time. It was an absolutely amazing event right across. I mean, all aspects across all the events. But lovely to see you guys getting, a well-deserved top 10. It was just fantastic. Fantastic. So well done. Absolutely well
There's a
done.
whole story behind that as well.
Go ahead. Now, this is the perfect place to get it out.
Well, we were actually very lucky to be on that start line at all. Our race was meant to be on the Saturday. Isn't that right, Judith? It was
No,
the
the
Saturday.
Sunday.
It was meant to be on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And the Saturday night, we'd had our pre-race meals. We were all tapered down. We were ready to go. And we got into bed, and it's like, good night, let's get a good night's sleep. Got the big race, got the Paralympics tomorrow. And we were really hopeful for a good result. So it was like so exciting. We went to sleep, and then we were in the same room, and I could hear this rustling about in the middle of the night. And I was thinking, this is really weird. But I was trying to get a good night's sleep, so I was like, oh, well, I'll ignore it. Maybe Judith's just not sleeping well. And then it kept happening, and I was like, there's something not right here. So I got up, and then by that point, there was no one else in the room. And I was like, what's going on here? And I just didn't really know like what to think. And then one of the TI staff came into the room and was like, is there a water bottle in here? I'm looking for a water bottle for Judith. She's really, really sick. She's really sick. She's upstairs. She's with the doctors. And I was like, what? And like, that was just like, the middle of that night, I was like, oh my goodness. And then when I found out how sick she was, I knew there was no way we were going to be on the start line at all the next morning. And I was like in the bedroom, obviously not sleeping at all, praying and praying. And about 6 o'clock in the morning, Judith came back in, and she was like a wee ghost. She was just so pale and drained, but she'd stopped being sick at that point, and she was able to walk back to the room. So they sent her back to bed, and she came in with the news that the race had been postponed by a day. So we at least then had a chance to get to the start line, and even just for that little chance, we were so grateful.
Yeah.
But obviously then, Judith, you can go on, and it didn't.
Yeah. Like, I just remember lying in bed that night and just, like, I didn't feel okay. But I was like, I'm just nervous about tomorrow. Like, it doesn't feel like normal race nerves, but, like, it's the Paralympics. Like, it's, like, this is a big race. This is a big deal. And then I was lying there and I was like, no, actually, I'm going to be sick. And then I was sick. And then I was like, okay, I feel better now. This is fine. And then I lay down, and maybe, like, 20 minutes later, same thing. And I was just up and down and up and down. And eventually I just, like, sat myself in the bathroom and was like, this is where I'm going to be spending the night. And it eventually got to the point where I was like, no, I need a doctor. Like, this is not okay. I'm really not well. So I messaged the group chat that we had of the, like, all of the athletes and the TI staff. And I said, does anyone have the number for the doctor? And this was it must have been after midnight, like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, there's no way anyone's going to see this message. Like, I am completely on my own here. But, like, by some miracle, like, the two TI staff both saw the message immediately. Like, I don't know how. It was just, I was chatting to them afterwards, and they're like, I just happened to pick up my phone, or I think one of them was walking to the bathroom using their phone as a torch, and then the message came through, so they saw it straight away. And I was just like, how? So I got taken up by the doctor, got given, like, anti-sickness medication, everything they had going. I was just like, please, I want to go back to bed. I want to stop being sick. And then I was lying up in, like, the wee living room, and then one of the TI staff came in. They got an email at just after 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was just lying, like, just feeling sorry for myself, feeling so weak, so drained. And she came over and she was like, Judith, we've just got an email to say that the race has been postponed to Monday. And I was just like, thank God, I am so happy. Can I go to bed now? And as I said, I went in, and Eimear was awake, and I was like, the race is on Monday. And I mean, Sunday was rough. It was just trying to eat to get my strength back. I got taken to the wee hospital on site and was hooked up to a drip for the morning. To try and get some fluids back. Yeah, get some fluids back. And it was just that, like, after you've been sick and it's just trying to have an appetite, trying to eat. And it was like, I don't want to eat, but I know I have to. Like, I need my strength for tomorrow. And chatting to the doctors then that evening, and then the following morning, they more or less said, like, if this wasn't the Paralympics, you would not be leaving your bed. But, just go out there, be sensible, do what you can. If it gets to a point on the run where you have to walk. Like, the point is, you want to cross that finish line. Mm-hmm. Do what you can to conserve your energy and get to that finish line. And I think part of it was like just the sheer joy of like I'm actually allowed to race. I'm actually able to do this. But I think whenever we got to the run, that was whenever I was like, "No, we're done. Like I might have to walk at this point." And I remember at one point, I think it was the last lap on the run, I turned to Eimear, I was like, "Is this the last lap?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Right, let's try it." And I like managed to pick up the pace for about 5 steps, and then I was like, "Nah, I can't do it."
I don't think anybody understands just how unwell Judith was, and like getting on the bus that morning to go to the race, we were just grateful to be getting the start.
Yeah.
We kind of went there with a bit of I felt a little bit defeated in my heart because we were wanting to go and really give it a good show. So we knew we were fit and we were ready. And we kind of showed up and we were just kind of like, we're just going through the motions. But at the same time, you know, we were grateful to even just have the chance to race. And to be honest, I just can't believe, I'm just so proud of how well she pushed. She couldn't have got any more from herself that day. It was unbelievable. She swam really, really well, considering the conditions and everything. And then on the bike, we had the second fastest bike split that day. And
Brilliant.
like to do that at the Paralympics is unreal. We got off the bike and we started running, and I was starting to think, maybe she's okay here. And I said, "Oh, are you okay? Can you run?" And 2 steps into the run and she was like, "I'm done." And then I was like, "That's grand, we're good. We got this far. Let's just get round the run and get to the finish line." And we just puttled round and like we just made our way around the run. It was like really surreal kind of feeling. But yeah, we made it to the finish line and never been so proud of her. She was just unbelievable to get there.
Yeah.
I don't know where you were able to find that strength, Judith, but that is even more impressive, you know, that you've had to overcome that horrendous night, completely depleted, like all the nutrients, all the electrolytes, all your salts, everything just gone, the whole lot.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think,
energy and
yeah.
illness, and then of course the whole thing was postponed because of the pollution then as well in the river, wasn't that right?
Yeah.
So
And we got an email, I think the Sunday night, and it was more or less saying like, because obviously they do water quality checks before every race, and they had been checking the water quality, and I think basically what the email said was like, look, the water quality is never going to be excellent in the Seine, but we just hope the athletes' immune systems are strong enough to deal with it. And it's just like, this is what we're dealing with.
holy shit. Aye, let's hope it works out for you, girls. Good luck.
I mean, no one was ever going to say, "Oh no, it's too dirty. I'm not getting in there." Like, forget the Paralympics. I'm not doing it. It's too dirty.
Aye.
But yeah, no, we had a really great race that day, and I think it was whenever we got to the run, and I was just like, I can't, and there was ones in front of us, and I was like, I know we could catch them. I know we could, and they were just slipping further and further away, and I was just like, oh. And there was times I wanted to walk. I was like, oh, what's the point? Like, I can't. But the crowds were just unreal. Like, I was like, I can't walk in front of all these people. Like, that's just bad looking. I have to keep pushing. So with pride running.
Absolutely amazing. No, that's unreal. That makes it even much more amazing. I didn't know that, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't understand that. So again, thanks for sharing that. After the highs and the ups and downs and ins and outs of Paris, you didn't hang about either. That wasn't your year over because Paris was in September, so you got back onto your wacky bike in October. European Championships and World Championships. Who wants to guide us through that one, if you pardon the pun?
Eimear, do you want to chat about European Championships?
Yeah, I already mentioned about the tether getting caught on the buoy. That was the European Championships where that happened. So that was at the very start of the swim where we got stuck on the buoy, lost a lot of time there. But we just made it our mission to finish as far up that field as we could. Obviously, we came out of the water. I think we were last out of the water, or at least almost last. We just had to try and finish as far up the field as possible. So we really went for it on the bike, really went for it on the run, and we managed to claw back to 4th place, which we were pretty pleased with, considering how much time we'd lost on that blunder in the swim. And then we were moving on from there to Worlds. Judith, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. So World Champs was in Torremolinos. It was sort of the end of the season. There was you know, we had our ups and downs throughout the year, and I think we were both really keen to finish on a high. It was quite. It felt quite surreal for me going into that. But yeah, we went out and we had an okay swim. It was quite currenty and quite choppy, but I really enjoyed the bike course in that one. There was a bit of a hill at one point. I just remember going over the speed bumps and nearly like flying over the top because they were just like, you were hitting them at such speed, and there was some really sharp bumps. I was just like, I'm gonna dislocate my ankles here by jumping up so high on the bike, or I'm gonna like.
Yeah, it's gonna say you can't bunny hop on a tandem.
Yeah.
We'll give that a go next season.
Yeah. But yeah, we got out onto the run, and the run would always be our strength, like running off the bike. And I don't know what position we were in coming off the bike, but I know we got the fastest bike split that day, and then just running. And I think the first lap, Eimear was like, "You were running 3:30." Like, I mean, that's okay. You feel good. Keep going. We're going quite fast. And yeah, it was just, we were aiming for the podium. Like every race, we're aiming for the podium. And it's just ticking people off. Like Eimear is always like, the Germans are in front of us. Can you see them? It's like, no. And there's like, oh, I can see the Germans now. And just like little things like that, just to push you on. And yeah, we passed the Germans, so then that had us sitting in fourth. So then we were trying to catch the Brazilians. And yeah, like I think we finished, what was it, 5 seconds behind them? And like
5 seconds behind them, and then like 20 seconds, maybe even 19 seconds behind second place. So we were just so close.
Yeah.
But in the end, like I do feel like that was one of our best performances, especially bike run performances.
Yeah.
And I think that like because we didn't make the podium and we were disappointed with that, but we were so close, I think it's actually given us a lot more motivation for next year. Definitely. And it gave us more drive and really made us want to like sit down and work out, right, what do we need to do to be fighting for the top steps in these podiums. And like I truly believe that Judith, whether I'm her guide or not, if Judith can improve her swim a bit, she will be fighting for the top step on any podium, and come the Paralympics in LA, she could be the one up there fighting for it. She just needs to get a little bit more time on that swim, and she is a superb athlete, really strong on the bike and run, and the swim's coming.
We'll get there.
There's no doubt about that. You're absolutely right. But I suppose whenever you take into context the journey for that World Championships and those near missed podium opportunities in the Europeans and the World, off the back of the season that led up to that, and the ups and downs and the sickness and the illness and the Paris, there was a lot of training done, a lot of miles covered, so maybe in a year where there wasn't the distraction of the Olympics, dare I even say it, but do you know what I mean? If you put it into context, they've taken out those big emotional events out of it. Well, what's 2025 look like for you guys? Where are we going to see you racing? Are we thinking podiums? What's the plan of attack?
Every race we're aiming for the podium. That's just how it is. What's the point in going if you're not aiming for those steps?
Go big or go home.
Exactly. So we're taking quite a late start to the season this year, which I think is needed after last year. We started racing in March and it was just all go. It just felt like it never stopped. You were just about recovering from traveling to Australia or Japan or whatever, and then you were building into your next race. So I think it's good that we've had quite a long break, and I think just after the end of last season, like we're just absolutely buzzing to get racing again, to get going again. So I think Italy in June is our first race, Toronto again. So it was a good race whenever we did it in 2023, 1 second off first. So we'll be trying to get that top step in that one, definitely, to make up for that 1 second last time.
I think you've got the 1 second, Judith. Eimear's throwing the challenge down to there. You need 1 second on your swim and the job's good and the gold's in the bag. Tell me this. How do people go about following your journey? Is Instagram the best place to check you guys out, or do you have a joint account, or what way does things work?
Yeah, we have our own Instagram accounts. That's definitely where I would post most stuff. I have a joint account with my twin sister Chloe. We're the tandem twins, so yeah, I suppose there as well to follow both of us, or if you just want to pick your favourite. We have our individual accounts as well. And Eimear obviously has her own account, so
I'm not sure mine would be too interesting to people. It's probably more pictures of my kids than triathlon stuff these days. But
and tell me this: what about funding for you guys? And the equipment, the travel, the competitions, the accommodation, the flights, blah blah blah. Are you looking sponsorships? Do you have a sponsorship deal? Is that something that we can help to promote? How would people get in touch with you if they wanted to align their business and their ethos with your journey?
So this year we're both carded athletes, so we get money from Sport Ireland, but that money is basically spent on getting to and from races and paying for flights and hotels and food and just surviving. I suppose our big thing is a new bike.
Yeah.
So the tandem that we have at the minute is called Black Beauty, and she's second hand, maybe third hand, borrowed from Donncha McCarthy, one of the other VI athletes, and I've sort of started paying him back for that, but ultimately we need a new one. We need a new up-to-date high-spec tandem, and they do not come cheap.
I can imagine. I'll not even ask. But what we will do is we'll put it out there that if anybody wants to support the guys and help them on their journey to a gold medal and future Olympic success, what a better way to get your name out there than to say, well, I bought them dolls that bike.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know? Well, we'll see what will come off the back of it.
That would be brilliant.
That would be great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much for taking the time to come on the podcast. Absolutely fascinating talking to you. Really, really loved the chat. Loved your honesty, loved your humour. And I can't wait to see how you get on for the rest of the year.
Oh, thank you.
That's great. Thanks for having us.
Not a problem. My pleasure. Take care and look after yourselves.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.